Emily sat cross-legged on the plush gray couch in the living room, a novel open on her lap. The late autumn sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, casting warm golden hues across the room. It was a rare moment of peace. Her parents had left earlier that morning to attend a wedding in a neighboring city, and her sister, Rachel, had gone out to visit her best friend. Emily was finally alone, free to enjoy the quiet. She flipped a page of her book, but her mind wandered. The house, usually bustling with laughter and conversation, felt eerie in its stillness. She tried to shake the feeling of unease and focused on the story again. Just as she began to lose herself in the fictional world, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Reaching for it, Emily saw the name flashing on the screen, Nathan. Her brother-in-law. It wasn't unusual for Nathan to call her now and then. He was married to Rachel and had been a part of their family for almost 3 years. He often joked with Emily, treating her like a little sister, and she usually appreciated his easygoing nature. But tonight, seeing his name lit up on her screen, something felt off. She hesitated for a moment before swiping to answer. "Hello," she said, her voice steady despite her unease. "Hey, Emily," Nathan's voice came through, cheerful and warm as always. "How's it going?" Emily glanced at the clock. It was almost 7 p.m. Why was he calling now? "I'm fine," she said cautiously. "What's up?" "I heard your parents are out of town," Nathan said, his tone casual. "Rachel told me she went to see Abby. Are you alone at home?" Emily frowned. "Yeah, I am." "Why?" "I was nearby for work and thought I'd stop by," he replied. "I know how boring it can get when you're all by yourself." She sat up straighter, the unease growing stronger. Rachel hadn't mentioned Nathan being in the area. Still, she didn't want to seem rude. "I'm fine, really. I was just reading," she said. "You don't have to come all the way here." "Oh, it's no trouble," Nathan insisted, his tone a bit too eager. "I'll just swing by for a bit. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Before she could protest, the call ended. Emily stared at her phone, her heart pounding. Something about the whole situation didn't sit right with her, but she couldn't exactly pinpoint why. Nathan had always been friendly and kind to her, never giving her any reason to feel uncomfortable. Maybe she was overthinking things. Still, as the minutes ticked by and the doorbell rang, her unease refused to subside. She walked to the door, taking a deep breath before opening it. There he was, dressed in a dark jacket and jeans, holding a small box of chocolates. His trademark grin spread across his face as he stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "Brought you a little treat," he said, handing her the box. "Thanks," Emily said, taking it and placing it on the counter. She noticed the way his eyes lingered on her a little longer than usual, and she felt a chill run down her spine. Nathan sank onto the couch, looking entirely too comfortable. "So, what have you been up to?" "Just reading," she replied, keeping her tone neutral. She didn't want to come across as unfriendly, but she also didn't want to encourage him to stay longer than necessary. He nodded, his eyes scanning the room. "You've grown up a lot, Emily," he said after a moment, his voice quieter. She froze, unsure how to respond. Thanks," she said, busying herself with tidying up the already clean coffee table. "You must get lonely in this big house all by yourself," he continued, leaning back against the couch. "Don't you?" Emily forced a smile. "Not really. I like the quiet. It's nice for a change." Nathan chuckled, his gaze making her increasingly uncomfortable. "Yeah, I get that. But still, it's good I stopped by. You shouldn't be alone for too long." The conversation felt strained, his comments becoming more personal and intrusive as the minutes passed. Emily tried to steer the discussion toward neutral topics, but Nathan kept pulling it back, asking questions that felt too pointed, too intimate. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. Standing up, she said, "Bye." She stopped herself. Old habits. "Nathan, I think it's getting late. You should probably get going." His expression flickered with surprise, then something else, something darker that she couldn't quite identify. But it disappeared as quickly as it came. He stood up, shrugging casually. "All right, if you say so. But hey, don't tell Rachel I stopped by, okay? She might think it's weird." Emily didn't respond, walking him to the door. Once he was gone, she locked the door behind him and leaned against it, her heart pounding. She felt a mix of relief and anger, relief that he was finally gone, and anger at herself for not speaking up sooner. That night, as she lay in bed, she couldn't shake the feeling of Nathan's gaze lingering on her. It wasn't just discomfort anymore, it was fear. She decided she couldn't stay silent. The next morning, when Rachel came home, Emily sat her down and told her everything. At first, Rachel was shocked. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," Emily said firmly. "He crossed a line, Rachel. I didn't know how to handle it at the time, but I can't keep this to myself." Rachel listened, her expression a mix of disbelief and anger. "I'm sorry, Em," she said finally. "I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I'll talk to him." The confrontation that followed wasn't easy. Nathan denied everything at first, laughing it off as a misunderstanding. But Rachel was relentless, and eventually, he admitted that his behavior had been inappropriate. For weeks, the tension in the family was unbearable. Rachel moved out temporarily, taking time to decide what to do about her marriage. Meanwhile, Emily focused on healing. In the end, Emily learned an important lesson. Silence only empowers those who abuse their position, and speaking up is the first step to reclaiming control. It wasn't an easy road, but she knew she had done the right thing.